So welcome. My name is Donna, and I'm the Associate Dean of Computing here at BCIT. We're really happy that you're all joining us today and learning more about computing. And with me presenting today is my colleague Aaron. He's an instructor and also a researcher, and also the main person in charge of our new master's program. And you can find us both in this room afterwards or out at the computing booths just around the corner in this same building. All right. So I'm going to start with a few slides about the tech sector in general here in Vancouver and the Lower Mainland. Hopefully this will kind of affirm the reason that you're here, the reason why you may be interested in computing and excited about computing. So Vancouver is a tech city. And actually what I like to say now is that every business is a tech business. So, what I mean is think about your local grocery store. They need technology now, not only to manage their inventory and their stock, but now there's online grocery ordering and all that kind of stuff, right? So any company that traditionally was maybe non-technical now needs technical people. So that's why, I think that's why technology is so big, and particularly here in Vancouver. Our note here is that Vancouver, it's consistently among the top tech cities in North America. Actually, the second highest ranked Canadian city. And we're not talking just about computer programming companies, right? We're talking about all the different niches that technology can get into. For example, in health, or in agriculture, or in clean tech or biotech. There's tech now, you can really just add that onto the end of any traditional industry. So what I have here is an interesting but tiny picture. So this just kind of shows, this is from the BC Tech organization, and it just shows the diversity of companies that you can find here in Vancouver. So kind of at the top of that circle are the anchor companies. So if you go to the BC Tech Association, you'll be able to see this a little bit more clearly, right? The anchor companies are your big companies like Microsoft and Amazon, which do have locations in Vancouver. In the middle there are scale-ups, so these might be more medium-sized companies that may have started small and are growing at a pretty good rate. And then there's also a huge amount of startups, right? So the tech industry, it may not be what you think. Once you get out there, you might find that there's small companies that you've never heard of, but they may be a startup, and then they may grow and become an anchor company one day. Let's see. So my note here, the government lists computing careers as high opportunity occupations and among the best paid occupations. So there's a note, that's probably what everyone wants, right? I want a good job and one that pays well and one that's interesting. So that's tech, and now let's talk about BCIT. BCIT is one of the biggest suppliers of tech professionals in Western Canada, and our grads are in high demand. And I know from talking to places that I've worked, like I just met someone today who I worked with, and they said, oh yeah, we hire lots of BCIT grads. We've got a huge alumni population out there, and BCIT alumni love to hire other BCIT grads. So BCIT itself has a major role in the pipeline of tech, and I think it's well recognized in industry. Oh, I gave a spoiler. So here's my line. All companies are tech companies. That's what I've said before. This picture is our Program Advisory Committee. That's our PAC. So we meet with this group of people at least once a year. These are people from industry. And we try to choose from that circle. We have small scale all the way up to anchor companies, industry professionals who meet with us and tell us, we ask them questions. Have you hired BCIT grads lately? What are they doing well? What are we missing? What languages are you using now? What programming languages are you using that we're not teaching? Tell us what's now obsolete. What's gone from your company now that we should stop teaching? So in this way, we can meet the demand quite quickly. We can adjust ourselves and be quite flexible, and we can just really quickly bring in the latest stuff because our PAC will tell us what that latest stuff is. I'm in that picture too. Right, so BCIT Computing itself, we're a very large provider of computing and IT education. We have over 30 different programs, and you'll hear about them all today, and it may go quite quickly, but just know that everything is on our website. The credentials are well recognized, and one thing is that our grad satisfaction and our grad employability rates are quite high. And so we have something, I think there's a stat, it's 96% of diploma grads who are actively searching will find a related job in the first 6 months of graduation. So 96%, that's really high. The BCIT advantage itself, here at BCIT, when you join one of our programs, you're in a cohort of only 25 students. So we have small groups. In BCIT Computing, we don't use teaching assistants, it's all our instructors. So even in your labs, when you're working on something, it's your instructor that's with you in that lab, not a teaching instructor or fellow student, right? And another advantage of BCIT Computing, if you've already talked to the diplomas, we have 3 well-known diplomas, so ready to work in 2 years. Okay, so here's the last slide before I switch to Aaron. So you're going to hear about a lot of programs, and at the top of each program, we've kind of tried to categorize it for you into one of 3 categories. Right? So some of our programs we categorize as create. So this is where you are just building or coding or creating something from scratch. This might be something like I'm starting a website or an app from scratch. So we kind of categorize that as create. Secondly, we have another category of types of programs, which are configure. So this is not necessarily writing something from scratch. This is more like taking a bunch of technology pieces and getting it all to work together in harmony. So you could think of create is you're working on the product that your company might sell, right? But configuring is you're working within that company to keep it up and running and to make sure that everyone can be their most productive selves. Right? And we have a third category called command. And command is more the programs where you're more becoming a real expert in a particular piece of software or group of software. That would be the command. And so just keep those 3 categories in mind as you hear about the programs and see which type of category might be appealing to you as you're thinking about this. Right. So as we switch over to the next speaker, I just invite anyone who's standing. We have lots of space here in the front row if you'd like to come in. And otherwise, I'm going to turn it over to Aaron.
Okay, so we're going to quickly go through all of the programs that we offer through BCIT Computing. It'll be pretty fast. I'm going to start with the programs that are for people who are new to computing, full-time programs that are people new to computing. So this is maybe high school. You could have just finished high school, but you could have also maybe finished a degree in something else that's not computing. Maybe you went to college for a year or 2 and you decided you want to try computing. So these are all full-time programs for people who actually need to start their career in computing, and these are 2-year diplomas. They're our biggest programs, our biggest full-time programs, and we have 3 of them. So the first one I'm going to talk about, the CST Diploma, Computer Systems Technology. This is a software development program. So this is a program where students are learning how to write software from scratch, create big fancy applications. You can see it's under the create label that Donna talked about because it's really about coding, testing, debugging, all the main things that go into creating software. This is a program, it's our oldest diploma, it's our largest diploma. It runs both in Burnaby and downtown. There's a bigger cohort in Burnaby. There's a bunch of different specializations, including machine learning, data science. There's a bunch of different specializations you can do as part of the program, and you can start in September or in January, and you can see on the note here there is an information session all about the CST Diploma on October 16th. Okay, second diploma. This is into the configure category. So this is the CIT program, Computer Information Technology. So this is all about the jobs that we're training you to do here are things like integration, maintenance, testing, debugging. There's some software development. But the point of the CIT program is it's not about creating software from scratch. It's about taking all these IT systems and actually managing and making them work together. And if you think about the way the world works now, you have these e-commerce systems, you have cloud systems, you now have a bunch of AI systems. None of those things interact or run on their own. We need human beings who understand how they work, can keep them up to date, have them talk to each other. That's what the CIT program is all about. It's a great program, it's downtown, and good news for you, you can apply for January now. You can go online right now and apply and start in January in this program if you are interested in this particular area. The third program is our smallest of our diploma programs and our newest of our diploma programs. It's been around for about 5 years now, the Full Stack Web Development Program. So this is like the CST diploma. This is a software development program, but it's really focused on web applications. So it's focused on making software or applications that are going to be deployed somehow through the World Wide Web. So this is full stack. This is a real growth area. There's a lot of jobs always in the area of web development, and these grads do 2 years downtown, 1 intake per year in September, and you can check out the information session on that, also on October 16th. Okay, those are our diplomas. I want to talk about our degree programs now. So what BCIT offers is a 2+2 model for your education. So you don't have to decide if you're going to do a degree on day one. You decide you want to do a diploma, you come in, you do a 2-year diploma, and if you feel like, you know, I'm enjoying being at BCIT, I want to learn more, rather than trying to go out and get a job right away, then you can choose to stay at school and do one of our degree programs. And you can also do this part-time, I should say. I'm talking about full-time programs a lot. You can complete your diploma and then complete the degree part-time at night, taking courses while you're working. That's another option. So our in computing, our degree program is the Applied Computer Science Bachelor of Science degree. So this has just been totally revamped recently. So this is a program that's really focused on giving you a deep computer science foundation on sort of fundamental topics in computer science to supplement what you did in your diploma. And it also at the same time is focused on industrial projects, applied projects, project-based learning. And as it's listed here, there's several different specializations for the degree program. So we have, for as long as I've been here, we've offered the games development option, and we've offered the network security applications, which is, of course, a tremendous area of growth right now, network security. And just now in January, we're starting a new database option, which should be exciting for the new students. I don't have an InfoStation date there, so you'll have to stay posted for that. So this is 2 years full-time after you do the diploma. The last of the bachelor's degree programs that I'll mention is the digital forensics and cybersecurity option. This technically is not from the computing department that Donna and I live in. It's from the forensics department, but I've worked a lot on this program as well. So this is exactly what it says. It's a program with 2 focuses. It does digital forensics and it does cybersecurity. So the cybersecurity part is what we always think of cybersecurity. You do things like encryption and securing network systems and ethical hacking, trying to break into systems. But then it's got this digital forensics side, which is all about investigation. So the forensics group is very focused on assisting law enforcement. So the digital forensics side is when there's something bad that happens on a computer or a system or a phone, how do we investigate? How do we find what happened? How do we, if you find a phone at a crime scene, how do you get information from that phone that will help you solve the crime? And a lot of these people end up in regular network security jobs and companies, but also I've had a bunch of students from this program who end up in policing or law enforcement or with the communication security establishment. So this also starts January and September, 2 intakes per year downtown. And the last program that I'll talk about is the newest program that doesn't even exist yet. So this is the Master of Science in Applied Computing. So it will take its first group of students in September next year. This program is near and dear to my heart. I've been working on it for a while. The program is extending our 2+2 model to a 2+2+2 model. So you can now do your diploma, you can go back to your degree, and then if you want to, you can come back and do a master's degree. And the idea of the program is it's focused on interdisciplinary applications. So like Donna was saying, there's a lot of companies out there that aren't software companies. They do something else that involves IT. There's projects in smart homes, intelligent heating and ventilation systems, smart wheelchairs. There's a lot of products that are created in companies and created by researchers on campus here at BCIT that involve computing in a critical way, but are not fundamentally just computing. So that's what we are looking at offering to students, a sound theoretical grounding at the master's level applied to problems that are not necessarily traditional computing problems. And this has been, we've created this program in response to industry need because we're finding this sort of middle level technical leader kind of job is really opening up in a lot of companies in a way that we're expecting to grow. And it will start in next September, and the information session, I'll just mention, I should have known this, but I had to look at October 24th. You can come to the information session, and you will listen to me talk about it for another half an hour. Thanks. And Donna is going to come back, and you can sit down if you want to.
Thanks, Erin. All right. That's good? Yep, okay. Flexible learning. This, we used to call this part-time studies. So what we mean by flexible learning is a la carte courses taken in the evenings or on the weekend. This can be to upskill just a particular thing. Say you just need a stronger math grade to be eligible for one of those other programs. Or you can use flexible learning to pivot. Like say you're working and you need to keep making that money, but in the evenings you might want to learn some computing so that later you can change careers. So flexible learning, as it says, is very flexible. You can just start with a single course and see how you like it and go from there without needing to apply to a program or be accepted to programs. So you can go online and just look for something that interests you and self-register for it and start in January, like one evening a week or say every Saturday morning for 12 weeks, something like that, right? Right. So there's a huge amount of courses in Flex. Over 500 computing courses are offered every term. And there's an info session on November 7th where you'll get a lot more information there. Right? So a lot of people, because there's such a large number of Flex courses, people will often say, where do I start? Right? So if you're here in the computing info session, I would advise you to start with an intro to programming course. So a course that begins with the number 1. Right? So for example, 1516, an introduction to programming course. Right? So no commitment, no application to a program. You can just go and try that course and see how you like it. But even through Flex, you still have the opportunity to get a associate certificate, diploma, or bachelor's. Right? Previously mentioned our bachelors of science. And I think what Erin mentioned also is often our students will graduate from the diploma and go out and begin working. And then they'll continue taking the bachelor's courses through Flex. And it will take a lot longer, of course, but you're still at the same time working and making money. And you complete the last 2 years, evenings or weekends, and then you get your bachelor's that way. Right? So Flex is really useful, and it has a variety of programs, and we try to categorize them in these different categories. So if you were to go to Computing Flex, you would start by trying to pick one of these categories and then drilling down to see what am I interested in a short associate certificate or perhaps even a diploma. Right. A lot of these Flex courses will count for credit in full-time. So say you take a Flex course and you like it, and then you actually apply for one of the full-time programs, and then you get into that full-time program, well then you have a lighter course load because you've already done one course and it counts. Right. So, what do I have? Oh, so here's a mention of just some of the associate, like the shorter associate certificates that are available, such as Applied Software Development or Applied Data Analytics certificate. Right. So you can work your way, right, and the info session again is listed there because there's so many different Flex programs, it needs its own kind of info session for that, right? And so that's Flex, that's Computing Flex. And now this is, I think, kind of the last category that we'll talk about, which is our fast track certificates. Right? So the fast track certificates are usually a more mature student, usually someone who's already maybe has a bachelor's and has been working in a certain field and then say, no, I want to switch to computing, but I don't want to just take one course every evening. I want to just cram it all in there. So these are full-time programs, but all less than 1 year. And so, yeah, so they're mostly designed for people who are trying to reskill or change careers. Right? So we'll start with this this one is front-end web. So as you can see, it's full-time, it's only 6 months, a 6-month certificate. So previously, Erin described our full stack right? So full stack, if you think of the internet, the part that you interact with, that's the front end, right? The part that you see on your phone or on your screen, that's the front end. But behind the scenes, there's all this data storage and computation going around, right? That's the back end. So when you stack those two things together, that's when you get full stack. That's a diploma. Here, what I'm talking about is a certificate. It's only the front part, the fun part, the part that you would design, and you decide where you're going to put your buttons and your inputs and the part of the website you see, and how do I make it look good both on my computer screen and on my phone and on different sizes of phones. So these are, the typical grad jobs would be web developer or UX designer or WordPress developer, things that are more on the designer side and the creation of the part that you see when you interact with the internet. And there's 3 intakes. So you can choose. There's an in-person, an online, and a blended. So depending on what method you prefer to learn, there's an intake for you. So this is our, as I said, they're all under a year. So this is the longest one, this 10-month technical support professional. So this is a focus, I would say this is similar to CIT, but just a little bit less involved and a little bit less math. So this is more for IT support or help desk or junior network administration type of jobs. So full-time, 10 months. It includes a practicum, which gives you a great experience and also a network of employers. And then after 10 months, usually the TSP folks are quite employable. So you kind of see a trend here where some of these fast-track programs are kind of mini versions of our diplomas. So I would say that this one, the SSD, which is a full-time 8-month certificate, this is almost like the mini version of the CST diploma or maybe the full-stack web. So this is also focused on programming and coding, mostly in web technologies. Right? So if you think that a full-time CST or full-stack sounds too long, like a 2-year diploma, you could instead try for maybe this 8-month certificate. Okay. And the last of the fast track it's something a little different. This is Office Administrator with Technology. Okay. So this is a really great one for people who maybe have been out of the workforce for a while, and they're trying to enter the workforce again and maybe an entry-level job. So these are the people who might be receptionists or coordinators or clerks, people who need to use computers, use a lot of Office 365, keep the office organized and running, say appointment bookings and things like that, and maybe using Excel. So this gets you into that. It's quite short. It's a 5-month full-time certificate. And then, and it includes a practicum, and many of the employers, again, from the practicums will hire the OAT students upon graduation. Okay. My note here, so this program is about 80% technology and about 20% more like business and professional training and things like that. Okay. So that's the end of our programs. I'd like to mention that for Indigenous applicants who are still underrepresented in computing, definitely, we have a lot of programs with preferred candidacy. So just when you're looking at the program pages under the entrance requirements, if there's preferred candidacy for Indigenous students, it'll say quite clearly. So that's I hope, a benefit to the Indigenous students and will help us to make that population less underrepresented. Okay. Right. So I'm kind of just wrapping up here. I mentioned before computing grads. If we had been more organized, we would have had testimonials up as you came in. We would have had testimonials from our past grads and where they're working now, and you would see things like that. But again, I just like to reiterate the fact that BCIT alumni love to hire BCIT grads because they know, hey, I went through CST. Man, that was hard. But I know that anyone else who graduates from CST, I know what they can do. Right? So I think this is a huge benefit to any students in our program when they're looking for jobs. To be able to say what program that they completed, right? And there's 25,000 tech professionals of BCIT computing grads out there right now in the workforce. Okay, right. So, hopefully you saw a program or two that interested you. And now you're gonna go and do some research and you're gonna say, how do I get into that program, right? A lot of them will require English and math. And so you'll take a look at your high school or possibly your post-secondary English or math, and you'll think, oh, I don't know if that's good enough or competitive enough. So this slide is about prerequisites or upgrading. Right? So if you don't have English or math, there's a BCIT course for that, a flex course that you could take an evening or weekend. Or if you do have English or math, but you don't feel like your grade is competitive enough for some of the programs, you can take a BCIT course and get a stronger grade and use that when you apply for the program. Right? So bcit.ca/upgrading would be for that. We have a number of math and communications courses, and that's mostly what most of the computing programs will use as entry requirements.